Hey everyone, Phi Farley here, March 3rd, college basketball best bet. Coming to you here in a second on a huge slate today. We got big conference, small conference, we got conference tournaments kicking off today. We got the last home games for some teams, senior days across the country. Make sure you note who's playing, where they're playing in the conference tournaments as all this winds down to start brewing a March Madness that's coming right around the corner. I can't wait. This is the best time of year, college basketball, betting, and being involved in these games and trying to get your best angles. I got one coming to you in just a second. Yesterday was a loss, but yesterday is a really short slate. You had to really kind of, it kind of sucks sometimes as a best bet put out there every day, as sometimes it's the best food at a continental breakfast at a hotel. Like you're still getting Captain Crunch and some milk, but it's still the best bet. But it doesn't mean it's the best overall. It's not a buffet where you get to pick whatever you want from a huge lineup. So today's a buffet. We're going to feast today. So I really like today's slate. I'm going to get to a big one, Big 12 action, nice big game. I think we got a good spot. And then, then conference tournaments here down the stretch. Going to be fun. Most each and every day we should have some value on some lines. So make sure you follow along, patreon.com/Phi Farley. All my plays are posted over there. Thank you for those of you who have joined over there as well as tuning in. If you haven't subscribed, take a second to do so. And to all my subscribers, thank you so much for doing so. It means a lot to me. So, all right. Yesterday, by the way, NBA update, went 2-0 again. So that puts it at 22-6 since the All-Star break. Cruising and bruising over there. Just super stoked. I've actually pocketed quite a bit on the NBA side. It's been a nice run. Hopefully you've done the same. Hopefully some of the viewers out there have cashed in on those. Hope to keep it going. I know all good things come to an end. I don't think I can keep this kind of percentage up, but I'm really enjoying why we are pretty dialed in there in the NBA. All right, let's talk college basketball here. So Big 12, we got Texas Longhorns, who are hot right now, 4-0, going to Oklahoma. Now, both these teams sitting at 18-11 on the season, both 8-8 in the Big 12 conference, both teams on the bubble, on the outside. Well, I think they're both on the inside. Honestly, if I were to say right now, I think both teams are going to make it, but this is what it's going to take, I think, for both teams. Texas is going to have to get a win. I think they're going to win. Oklahoma, I think, is going to win the last two games of the year to get to their 20 wins. Even if they drop out first game of the conference tournament, I think they're in with the 20 wins. Texas, the same thing. I think they're going to split here down the stretch. You have Oklahoma State, their last home game of the season, and that'll get them 19. Then they're going to have to win a conference tournament game if they want to find themselves in. That's what I think. They don't have a lot of top 25 wins here on the season. They dumped an early Purdue, who's found themselves one game over 500 at this point, but losing losing to Georgetown, losing to Providence, and then losing to all the good teams except for West Virginia in conference, and then Texas Tech here down the stretch. Doesn't exactly boost the resume. Oklahoma has just done slightly better, beating Texas Tech as well, West Virginia twice, and then their non-conference schedule with wins over Minnesota, Oregon State, are a little bit better. Then at the same time, their tougher opponents, Stanford, Wichita, Creighton, all were losses. So, both these teams would like to win through the stretch and then into the conference tournament, but one, I think the bubble sits them in. The other, the bubble sits them out if all things were even. Texas is improving and doing well here down the stretch. That's aside. Let's talk about the game tonight, all right? So I've already given you a little bit of a sneak peek of where I'm going with this one, but Texas has been hot. There's no reason to defend them on why someone would want to back them coming into this. With 4 straight wins against TCU, Kansas State, West Virginia, and then a big one at Texas Tech, they are rolling and they're playing very well. Oklahoma, on the other hand, also playing very well. 2 big wins, Texas Tech, West Virginia, on the road. Now they're back home. But here's a big dynamic. So Oklahoma is one of the fastest paced teams in the Big 12 conference. In fact, it's hard to find any Big 12 team that is on the front side of tempo. In other words, one of the top half in the country when it comes to tempo, believe it or not, which is kind of odd to think because when you think football when Big 12, you think high-powered offense all the time. But if we went through it, I mean, Baylor, 283rd in speed and in tempo. West Virginia, they're 112th, but they play a full court press defense, which really slows the game down. Texas Tech, 232nd. Let's see, Texas is 288th. Oklahoma State is going to be one of the fastest tempo teams at 176th. So there you go. That is right at the midpoint is Oklahoma State. Beyond that, TCU, 318th. Let's see, Kansas State, 246th. And I'm going on KenPom right down the list. The other one that's a little bit faster, Iowa State, sitting at 86th in tempo. So there you go, fastest tempoed team in the conference. Oklahoma sitting at 111th, so you're also getting one of the faster tempo team, but we also have a 35 ranked defense and a 53rd ranked offense. So what does that mean? A little bit of trouble for Texas. So they went into Iowa State, where Iowa State controlled the tempo. They lost that game by 29 points. Now, I'll admit it's right after playing Baylor, which is always difficult. They hung in with Baylor. But what we see is Texas struggle with teams that are offensive focused and more up speed tempo based. Oklahoma at the same time, when they win, especially at home, which they're 12-2, they have not had a problem blowing the doors off these Big 12 teams. And that's because we have slower defensive paced teams, slower paced teams, half court offenses. And Oklahoma, when they get their offense established, they're a better offensive team and they can knock these guys out of their home court. There is not a single game, hold aside, one game this entire season, and it looks like right about the beginning of January against Kansas State, that Oklahoma's wins have been within double digits. Hopefully that made sense. So what I'm saying is every win Oklahoma has been by 10 or more throughout the conference play. West Virginia was by 11, Texas Tech by 14, Iowa State by 29, West Virginia by 10, Oklahoma State by 13, Mississippi State's out of conference, TCU by 20, Texas by 10, Kansas State, that one game was by 5, and that was to kick off Big 12 play. So you can see what Oklahoma has done, specifically at home, specifically when winning and when playing against these defensive teams, slow half-court teams. The only two teams to be able to beat Oklahoma at home, you guessed it, Kansas and Baylor. Those are the only two that have been able to break this offense, and we're talking about the number 1 and the number 4 defense in the country. So I don't think Texas is going to be able to do it. Texas will get their final win, their 19th win of the season, when they play at home against Oklahoma State. Their run of 4-0 comes to an end at Oklahoma, going right after a tough Texas Tech win. I don't think they can get the job done, nor am I concerned about laying 7 with Oklahoma, given their history of blowing the doors off these Big 12 teams. I think once Texas Tech's defense is broken and they're behind in this game, it's not one they can catch up in. So I think this will easily turn into a double-digit win for Oklahoma on Senior Day, their last home game of the year. The last game is against TCU on the road, of which I think they'll get a win as well to get to 20. But this game in particular, I'm laying the 7 with Oklahoma Sooners at home to get the job done. There you go, best bet of the day, Oklahoma Sooners minus the 7. Good luck everyone today. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.